it's John from brew-dudes.com, and tonight we are brewing. This is going to be our video to show you how you can brew 1 gallon batches at home, or at least follow along with us and how we do it here on brew-dudes.com. It's like a place we live too, right? We're going to use Wamia hops. No, just joking. Jarrylo hops. That's who won the That's what won the big vote that we had back a couple weeks ago. And now we're going to brew with them tonight. I'm going to show you how you divide up this 1 ounce packet into a whole recipe for a 1 gallon batch. So we're going to go through all the techniques, all the over-explaining. Hopefully you dig it. So follow along with us and you too can brew 1 gallon batches at home. I have my 10-quart pot on the flame right now. There's 2 gallons of water in that. I use that 2 gallon to mash with. And I've got some 2-row malt right here. We're going to measure out 2 pounds of it. 2 pounds makes a nice, good, about 1050 1 gallon batch. So we'll measure that out. And then I'm going to brew in a bag. Rather than actually mash in the pot, which you can do if you like to control your flame and keep the temperature steady, I like to get my water up to mash temps and then just put it in this cooler and let it sit for an hour. And it's just like mashing in a big cooler. But this is just a 5 gallon one. I put it in a mesh bag, hold on, as it flies away. Put it in here, I tie it up, I put it in here. It's gonna be great, watch this. I put a hole in this yet. In the hole now. Okay, so we're going to measure out. Got to tear that. Measure out 2 pounds. A little bit more. The wind blows and suddenly it's a little bit heavier. Okay, that's 2 pounds. So I put my mesh bag right on top of the cooler. I'm going to put my barley crusher right on top of that, put the malt in it, crush it right into the bag. Okay. Nicely milled, and then I just tie it in a loose knot here as my water is heating up. I just checked the temp. It's about 155, noting that we're in the summertime and things are warm. We're pretty close to actually just pouring that hot water right in here, and we'll seal it up and then set the timer. 1 hour later, we'll get back to boiling. And that's almost about there. So I like to mash at about 150. And I think if I pour that into the cooler right now, I think we'll hit its right temp. Gotta put my gloves on for safety. Safety first. Yeah. 2 gallons of water, 2 pounds of malt. In the 5 gallon cooler. I find that this cooler keeps its temp very well when you're dealing with this amount of malt. and this amount of water. So I'll get a spoon, I'll mix that up, and then we'll seal it up, set the timer, and we'll mash for an hour. All right. Okay, we're at 152. I think that's good enough. I mean, it's a 1 gallon batch. I'm really only doing this to present the hops in a nice way, not really looking to get a really big malty background, or, you know, it's just enough malt really to make a beer. And then it's all about the hops. So let's seal it up, we'll set the timer, and we'll get back to it in an hour. Cool. Only 40 minutes to go. And we're rolling 14.5%. Just keep thinking that. All right. Jesus. Well, that was a quick hour. Well, the mash is over. Now we'll go to the next step of getting the contents of the cooler into the kettle, and then we'll start the boil. Let's do that now. It's nighttime. Are you just gonna follow me? Is that what's gonna happen?
I'm gonna try, yep.
Okay. So I have the, I put a colander into the pot because, well, I like to catch the actual bag as I pour this in. Hot side aeration be damned. Just pour that right in. Oh yeah, there you go. And then, you know, I like to pick up the bag and just let that drain out for a bit. Much easier to pick up 2 pounds of malt than, say, I don't know, 12. We'll let that drip out for a while.
This is like quasi brew in a bag.
Quasi brew in a bag.
It's like,
there's a bag and I'm brewing, but I mean, the whole point is I just don't want to be sitting there with the kettle and adjusting my flames to keep the mash temp at around 150. Just, I mean, I don't know.
Just in a naked kettle.
We stood around watching the mash tun for an hour, drinking beer, talking about the weather and stuff, but it's at least I'm not like playing with the flame the whole time. So this to me is a lot easier. Okay, hold on. Okay. So, get out of the way. So we have almost 2 gallons worth of wort in there. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about it, is that there's not a lot of loss. There's no sparge. It's a no sparge method as well. It's just, you put it in the bag, you let it sit in the cooler. When it's done, we're ready to boil. Let's do that. Look at that, kick it up. All right, so we got our boil going. You know, that only took probably about 10 minutes for it to start boiling, which again, when you start using these smaller batches, your whole time scale starts shortening up too, which is nice. All right, so now we have our boil started. I started our timer. We're gonna boil for 60 minutes, but since they have their alpha acid's 14.4%, in years past when I've made smash beers with just the 1 ounce pouches, I've put like a charge in at 60 minutes, but I've decided that the ones with like high alpha acids, I don't want it to be so bitter. I'm trying to get like a whole spectrum of the aroma and flavor of the hops, but I found that when I use really early stage additions, it made it really bitter, and I don't know if I got a true understanding of some of these hops that are made more for aroma and flavor. So for Jarrylo, we're going to add probably just 1/8 of an ounce in at like 30 minutes to go in the boil, and then we're going to do a big addition at flame out, and then I'll save a little bit for dry hopping right before the end of fermentation. See, what time is it? It's like 11 p.m. or some stuff?
Yeah, who knows? It's like 2 in the morning.
Okay, it's 30 minutes into the boil. We got 30 minutes left in the boil. I've got 1/8 of an ounce of Jarrylo hops right here in this ramekin. And I should have noted when I opened up the pouch what it smelled like. If it was that perfumey or what have you. Because I'll tell you, Equinox hop, I'll get on record. I'm on YouTube saying that your Equinox hops, the most pungent hops out of the pouch I've ever encountered. These are okay.
Now, why 1/8?
I just don't want
Explain
that much,
where we're going. Okay.
I just don't want that much bitterness. So I went online, I used a few calculators. Of course, they don't have Jarrylo.
Some mathematics.
Yeah, so I had to like actually just say it's Amarillo because it rhymed, I guess. But I just set the alpha acids at 14.4% just to see like what the perceived IBUs would be at the end of the boil. So we're going with a little, like a slight charge at 30 minutes to go in the boil. Here we go. But most of this we're going to put in at flame out.
Do you know how many IBUs that is, 1/8?
It's about 28. The other thing is I'm basing this recipe on a blonde ale 2015 BJCP guidelines.
Great.
So I don't know. I'm using standards that probably don't apply. At the same time, I don't want a really big bitter bomb. You know, I want to get more of what we think is going to come out of the late addition charges that one would use putting into a beer, and not a smash. I mean, this is kind of just, these kind of beers, the hops are just naked. They're just there for you. And that's why it's funny when we did the mosaic smash and we said, we taste this and we taste that. All these viewers and all these followers of ours said like, I tasted this. Some guy said I tasted lime out of it. We didn't taste that, but I don't know. It's up to
It's a usage issue, right?
Yeah.
It's a usage issue.
Well, it's a usage. It's also like how it's interacting with the yeast and the malt.
Yeah.
I mean, we're also just dealing with one type of malt here.
Yeah.
You know, it's really just a base malt.
Yeah.
And everything else is just kind of out there. But so we're doing what we can. It's late at night. Who knows? Actually, what is it? 9 o'clock?
Yeah, it's not that late.
Yeah.
Well, we're dads, so that is kind of late.
I'm tired.
I'm tired.
All right, we got 30 minutes to go. Let's try to wrap this up. I'm still sniffing these hop pellets like something is going to come to me. I think you said, what? I think there's like lemon peel.
I got like some celery. You said lemon.
Celery?
I got like celery salt. I don't know.
Celery salt, huh? I guess I can smell that.
But not in a bad way.
Not unpleasant.
Not unpleasant.
As Mike from Brew Dudes will tell you.
Yeah, we should have invited him over.
I'm tasting this and it's not unpleasant. There's
It's
not unpleasant. It's like the weirdest back end compliment. Back end? Back door? What are we talking about?
I don't know.
You gotta cut this out, right? All right, so we're at the end of the boil.
What's the time? We're at 60 minutes.
We are at 15 seconds to go.
Okay.
I just look at that. And the alarm's going to go off, so I'm just going to stop it. But, so, I put in, this is...
so we did a 30-minute edition?
Yes, we did a
and now we're doing a flame-out
ounce
edition.
Yes, and then this is the 3/4 of an ounce, which leaves me with where we do our math, if we know our fractions, 1/4 left for dry hopping, which I'll put in after fermentation is over. So here we go.
Advanced mathematics tonight.
Look at me. Like, well, you know, fractions do help. And then I will turn that off. So you look at this. I mean, we started. I'm going to put my finger and probably burn myself. But you think of it, like 2 gallons is about here. We've boiled off. It's evaporated. We probably have about 1 gallon left. So the next step for this, I'm going to put it in an ice bath. I don't do any kind of chilling in terms of using my copper chiller. I'm just going to put it in an ice bath. We'll cool it down. I have a funnel in which I pour the the wort into the 1 gallon bottle. That will be my fermenter. And when it's at fermentation temperatures, I will pitch yeast. Now there's some questions about how much yeast one should use for a 1 gallon batch. I always use dry yeast. And if you really want to be technical about it, 11.5 grams I guess is good enough for 5 gallons. You divide that by 5. What does that leave you with? 2.3 grams. I've also used like half a pouch. So just measure out, 5 to 6 grams and then put that in. Ferments fine. But since I'm going to probably do 3 or 4 batches, maybe I'll figure out like what 1/3 of that total is. Put 1/3 into this. Leave it I'll just seal it up, leave it in my fridge, and then use another 1/3 for the next batch, and use the last 1/3 for the last batch. So that's it. I mean, I don't know if you want to watch us over explaining how to chill wort, but I'm going to chill it down. I'm going to pour it into a 1 gallon bottle, and then it's off to the races. I'll put yeast in it, it'll ferment, and then I don't know, maybe like a week later I'll throw in some of the remaining hop pellets to do some dry hopping, and then I bottle. I still bottle. I don't keg this up. So I will figure out what I think I use like 23 grams of corn sugar. I gotta make sure my math is right on that, but I think it's about that.
Future video.
Maybe it's a future video. But what I do is I take the amount of corn sugar I need for 5 gallons, divide by 5, and that works great for a 1 gallon batch. So that's it for John, Mike behind the camera, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.